Siga Design are a Chinese watchmaker that are constantly making new inventions, new ways of telling time. And today we have their latest invention. It's called the Time Cipher, and it gets a very simple way of telling the time, but at the same time, extremely complicated and really cool. I have one hands-on, so let's flip the camera and take a look at the latest release from Siga Design, the Time Cipher. Siga Design are pretty awesome because they are constantly coming up with really interesting watches, and this is just a very interesting concept. It reminds me of their Blue Earth, but at the same time, maybe a Freak from Ulysse Nardon a little bit, because what you are getting here is just one large hand, and there's gears that are below and on the hand that help you tell the time. It's not incredibly legible, so I will say that right off the bat. If you have bad eyes and you need glasses and you don't have them on, you will not be able to read the time on this watch. If you do, it's okay. Just something to keep in mind. But this is a very interesting watch. This is a stainless steel case, so I was actually surprised that this had a stainless steel case because they always use all these different materials. So this gets a dark DLC coating. Also, this gets an ultra black dial. They don't say what material they're using, but it's something like Avanta Black. It absorbs 99% of light. You're getting an ultra black dial. And then, of course, you have this mechanism on top. So this is all in-house. There's a mechanism, there is a module that is sitting on top of a Miyota 9000 series. So they've actually used a 9000 series in this watch, which is, again, a little bit of a departure for them because usually they're using either a Chinese movement, a Swiss movement, or they are using an 8 series Miyota movement. This is the first time I've seen them use a 9000 series Miyota movement in one of their round cased watches. It's a 9000 series, so it's a somewhat higher grade Miyota movement. The way you tell time on here is extremely easy. That wheel right there is a gear, and it moves as you change the time in either direction. It is extremely smooth and very fast to change, as you can see. So it's just like you're changing the time on a normal watch. The only difference is that you can see there's an arrow that is pointing to that gear on that gear. And you can see it says that it's 5 o'clock. And I know it's 5 o'clock because we are pointing to the 12. So basically it's 5:01 right now. As you move it along, that gear turns. One rotation is 60 minutes, just like a normal watch. Really no difference. There's a gear at the bottom. I don't think that gear does anything. So I think that's just static. It doesn't move. It says Siga Design. There's a little bit of information on there. Then above that is the hands. So for lack of a better term, that's what they are. You have that wheel that is the hours, and then there's an arrow that is pointing to the minutes. There's a little arrow right there in the center that's pointing to the hour. And then you have a U counterbalance, I guess you would call it. And this is all decorated really nicely. So it's actually decorated. It's not just left bare or plain. It's finished very nicely. There's some striping on it. That wheel that's at the bottom, that is engraved. I'm not sure why they did that. It kind of looks good, but at the same time, they could have done away with that or maybe made that wheel a second hand. That would have been cool as well. The case itself has polishing and media blasting, and it's in the shape of an X. So it's a circle, and then the polished areas are the X, and there's these areas that are slightly evacuated. Those are media blasted. You get to see the movement from the back. Like I said, it's a Miyota 9000 series, so it's not a bad looking movement, but you don't have a custom rotor. I wish they put a custom rotor on here. Screwed in case back, non-screwed in crown, and everything is in stainless steel, like I said, with a DLC coating. You get a stainless steel buckle on here, and the, well, clasp, I should say, and it's a Siga Design clasp. They make really nice clasps. They are just nicely finished and overall really good looking, in my opinion. It's a double push button. I think they do a good job with this. And then this is a rubber strap that they put this on. I think this would look good on pretty much any strap. With that ultra black dial. A black strap does make sense with the black case. Other than that, I mean, this is a very cool watch. Other than the legibility, I think that would be my only problem with this watch, is that if you do wear glasses, if you wear readers like I do because I'm getting older, seeing these very small numbers on that wheel, they are already kind of hard to read. It's a little bit difficult to read. So if you do have glasses, or you are a little bit of a person like me who does need glasses but kind of refuses to wear them, you're going to have a hard time reading the time on this watch. But watches like these aren't always for reading the time. I've said this a million times. People buy watches like these, myself included, because they look cool, not because they tell time accurately or they're easy to read at a glance. That's kind of not the purpose behind a watch like this, in my opinion. The size of this watch is around 43 millimeters, so it depends on where you actually measure it because you have these slight evacuated areas. So it's like 43 millimeters at those spots, and it's slightly larger than that, just maybe a couple of millimeters, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters larger than that if you measure it on there. So I would say this wears like a 43 millimeter watch, but it's lugless, so it doesn't wear very large on wrist. I'll show it to you on my wrist in just a few seconds. It's just over 11 millimeters thick, around 11.8 millimeters is what I measured, but you do have a very domed sapphire crystal in the front and a sapphire crystal on the back. So there you go. So obviously, because of that, it does add to the thickness, and you do need that dome because of the complication that they're using here, that in-house module that they have that's telling the time. It looks so cool. I really do like that. It's something very different, and obviously they are really thinking about just the displays in general. It's kind of like a wandering hour, but it's kind of not. I like it. On wrist, I have a very interesting watch. This is a Ventura. This is a watch that I bought very early on when I was collecting, and I sold it. And this is one that I just recently bought on eBay for a very good price. I'll talk about this watch in a later video. It is really cool though. It's a very interesting GMT that you don't see every day. The design here is very futuristic. It's by a brand called Ventura. Overall, very cool. And there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. Like I was saying, it does not wear larger than 43 millimeters. I would say it wears kind of like a 43 millimeter watch, but at the same time maybe smaller than that because you don't have a long lug to lug, which is also 43 millimeters. So 43 millimeter wide, 43 millimeter lug to lug, 11.8 millimeters thick. Those measurements mean that this wears pretty well for almost any wrist. And like I said, I have a 7.5 inch wrist, very easy for me to pull this off. Because that strap is tucked into the case, this would wear really well on wrists smaller than mine and larger than mine, in my opinion. Well, there you go. You can see that lume is only on that disc, the little arrow that points to the hour, and then the little tab that points to the minutes. So other than that, nothing else is loomed, and it makes a lot of sense because that's all that needs to be loomed, because it's basically a fully loomed dial, because that little portion right there is the dial. Everything else doesn't need to be loomed. Maybe if they loomed the minute track, that would have been good so that you could see, the time in the dark. But really, you could see a general idea of the time in the dark with the position of the hand. So you should be able to tell the time as long as you could read it in the dark. And it's actually more legible in the dark, ironically, because the hands are lit up and it's easier to tell the time. There is no moving element on the dial, so there is no a loomed element that's moving. I guess that would be another complaint of mine. But all things considered, this is a pretty cool watch, and they are putting a higher grade movement in it. And they're using a black dial that is one of those black paints that absorb most of the light, so it's a very deep black dial. I'll do plenty of close-ups and pictures so you guys can see it. Price on this watch is $899. For what you're getting here, I think that is pretty decent. There is a lot of work that goes into making an all-new module for basically something that doesn't really exist currently. I'm sure there are brands that have done something similar to this, but this is pretty cool, and I think very, very interesting. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I will add a link to the Sega Design website. Definitely check out this watch if you are interested. They make it in stainless steel and in this DLC coated stainless steel. Anyway guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Anyway guys, I will catch you guys in the next video.